all over the internet. We've been hearing all about the Microsoft Activision merger, which has Sony execs pretty worried. But if they watch this video, they might find some secrets on how they can weather this storm if that merger goes through. And I got some fun ideas to share with you guys as well. Hello and welcome back to Gears and Tech. Thanks for joining us today. This whole Microsoft Activision merger thing has been in the news for a long time. Now here's the thing. Sony is currently actively trying to block this merger. In many countries around the world, they have legal proceedings that are going on where basically Microsoft is looking to acquire Activision Studios and Blizzard. They make some of the biggest games that are in the gaming industry, most specifically the Call of Duty franchise. The Call of Duty franchise has sold over 400 million copies of their games. That's cumulative over the lifespan of the entire series, and it is the fourth best-selling game franchise of all time. Traditionally, Sony has had a deal with Activision where Call of Duty gets either released first on the PlayStation console system, and this dates all the way back to the PlayStation 2, or it's released with PlayStation exclusive content. You can see up over there, we have our Black Ops 3 limited edition PlayStation 4. That was the first PlayStation 4 that we got when we were upgrading from the PlayStation 3 into the PlayStation 4 ecosystem. It's a big deal for Sony and they stand to lose a lot. So for that reason, it's totally understandable that Jim Ryan wants to fight this merger at every step that he can. Now, Microsoft has reached out to Sony and has offered them a couple different deals. Before we get too far into this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. If you've seen some of our content already and have not subscribed, we want you to join our community. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get back to the video. Currently, Sony has a deal for the next 3 years for exclusive content for the PlayStation 5, and they expected that to extend. Now, Microsoft initially said, well, we'll honor that deal still. And then Jim Ryan said, that's not good enough. We need better than that. Otherwise, we're going to fight you. And they said, okay, how about 10 more years of Call of Duty on the PlayStation 5 guaranteed? And he still said, nah, that's still not good enough. Before I get too far into this, actually, I do want to tell you guys, I'm not going to cite my sources for this. I've been reading all over the internet. I've been trying to gather all the rumors, all of the intel, all of the real information, and pack it into this summary. So if you want to fact check me, go ahead. If I get something wrong, go ahead and put it in the comments. Be nice about it. You know, I'm just trying to give everyone kind of an overall summary of where we're at and how I think Sony can come out of this on top still. Microsoft actually reached out to Nintendo, of all people, and they went and said, hey, how would you like the same deal that we offered Sony? We'll give you 10 years of Call of Duty content on your Nintendo game systems. Now, Nintendo said, heck yeah. Now, they're being played here. This is partially so that Microsoft can go to court and say, look at this, the deal is good for Nintendo. They already accepted our deal. So if it's good for Nintendo, it should be good for Sony. They should just accept this and move on. Sony is right to be worried, but if they sit back and look at what Microsoft is up to, what their strategy seems to be, let's review something very, very specific here. So Microsoft offers Game Pass. For those of you who are not familiar with the Microsoft systems, Game Pass is similar to PS Plus, but it's different in a lot of ways. They offer for a monthly fee a streaming service where you can actually play all of their game content, including day one releases, high-end content. So their Halo series, for example, was released on Game Pass day one to all Game Pass subscribers. Now, Game Pass is available on your Xbox, your new Xbox system. It's available on your old Xbox system. It's also available on PC. So you do not need the actual physical hardware, the Xbox Series X or the Xbox Series S, to play the brand newest, top tier, latest gen games. They'll just stream it to whatever system that you want. Now, Microsoft is placing a lot of faith in this system actually growing and expanding to the point where they will essentially become the game distributor for all games across all systems. they're essentially teeing up to get out of the hardware game and into the subscription service software game. Think Netflix for gaming. Sony is dead set on physical consoles. They've already actually leaked information about the PlayStation 6, which is scheduled to release in about 6 to 7 years from now, depending on who you listen to. Now, I know that seems really short, especially when a PlayStation 5 is still so hard to get your hands on. But this year, we expect to see the release of the PlayStation 5 Slim, which will see a trimmed down, smaller version with a detachable hard drive. That is very widely accepted now to be the accurate rumor. We will get our hands on one of those as soon as possible and show you guys all the features of that system. But when Microsoft says, we will make sure that Call of Duty plays on your system for 10 years, they know that if they get Activision and if they get Call of Duty as an exclusive title, they actually don't want to keep it on just one system, because if they get out of the hardware game, I won't say that they'll get out completely. They will still make like a Series S type stripped down bare bones gaming system, as long as it's good enough to stream their service. And that's why they can offer that service to Nintendo, because Nintendo could not run a new gen game on their current gen hardware. It's just too slow, too old. You can check out any of the new Switch games and see how they're really chugging that machine and they're really stressing that system out now. It just wouldn't handle it. However, Game Pass on the Switch would work beautifully. It would work today, right now, and you could play those first gen, brand new, latest games on something such as your Switch. So it's a good deal for Microsoft because they can get more games out onto more systems without having to build those systems. And if they can get another $20 a month from 100 million Switch owners, that's a lot of money. So when they say, yeah, Sony, don't be worried, we got you, I think they kind of do. Like, I'm really feeling like they will then come to Sony and they'll say, look, there was a little asterisk, up over next to our statement about 10 years. What we really meant was we need you to allow Game Pass on the PlayStation, and then they will stream that content through Game Pass on the PlayStation. That's where Microsoft wants to go. They need that leverage to get Sony to just cave in and accept that Game Pass needs to run on the PlayStation. And it probably wouldn't be a bad thing. They can still make their first party titles. They can still have all kinds of games, do their own thing. But if you want to play Call of Duty, you'd have to have a Game Pass membership. It'll cost you $20 a month and whatever. Now, there's some downsides because someone would say, well, if I'm getting Game Pass anyway, why wouldn't I just go buy an Xbox? Well, at that point, maybe the PlayStation's a good option still. So I'm not super worried about it. But if I'm Sony, I want to protect my investment. I want to protect my products. There is one other option that they can do, and that is to make their own Call of Duty game. Now, I know that seems kind of obvious. What is the number one complaint that you hear about Call of Duty? Number one is the game sucks. Why does it suck? Because there's cheaters all over. It's riddled with cheaters. It's buggy. And it's known to release with bugs. They have a 2-year development cycle, which is not enough time for a game of this magnitude. And they further shortened it. It used to be a 3-year cycle because they had 3 studios working on it. They dropped a studio out and shortened the cycle to 2 years, which is why Cold War was so bug-ridden. And now Modern Warfare 2 has so many bugs that we can't even play multiplayer half the time because we're getting random errors. It's not like it's a great game. It's just we put up with it because it's the best option we have available right now. There are other games that are alternatives to Call of Duty. Games such as PUBG Battlegrounds, you've got Apex Legends, you've got Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Overwatch 2, Titanfall 2, Halo, Rainbow Six, and there's still a few more. Now the thing is, when we just said that Call of Duty sucks, in my opinion, those games are worse. Like, all of them have their own bugs and problems, and they're not quite the same experience. But Sony does have a studio already in their wings that can develop a first-person shooter. You've heard of Killzone. You've heard of Killzone 2. So that's right, Guerrilla Studios made the original Killzone game and Killzone 2, and then they went on to develop small little indie games like Horizon Forbidden West. Like, you've probably never heard of it, but they made that game. So they're still relevant, they're still out there, and they're still killing it. They made a little game known as Horizon Zero Dawn. Maybe you've heard of it. Now that game uses a special game engine that they developed called the Decima engine. Now that's their own game engine, similar to like the Unreal Engine. So it has all of the physics and everything built into it. Then they can create their worlds and their model textures and all of that, and then kind of drop it into that simulation, for lack of a better term. But the framework is there to build off of. So the engine has been updated and updated and updated, and they continue to use it in current games. So it's very beneficial for them to take a game engine that already exists and then build a new game on top of that. So it's not like they have to start at square one. They can start at square 2 or 3 and then work to build out the world and the textures and the characters and all of that beside that. Now the other thing is, even if Microsoft acquires Activision, the people at the studio, they come and go all the time. They'll hire guys temporarily, they'll hire them on contract, they'll not renew their contracts, and it's very easy for you to go and poach people from the company. If you can identify who is a high value target at that company who helped shape the game and make it what it is, you could go and poach that guy, bring him over to your guerrilla team, which could build your next first-person shooter game, and Sony could build up a very, very healthy competition for Call of Duty, especially if they just sign the 10-year agreement and say, fine, it's okay, thank you so much for letting us have it for 10 more years and whatever, right? But secretly, they develop their own first-person shooter and they come out guns a-blazing. Do not set some unrealistic timeline for it. Don't say, yeah, it's going to come out in 2 years. Don't say it's going to come out in 3 years. But bring it out in year like 5 from now. When the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, make it a PlayStation 5 exclusive game with optimizations of 8K for the PlayStation 5 Pro at 120 frames per second, and you will absolutely get every sale from every PlayStation 5 that was sold, and you will start to sell some other systems. If you can build a legacy of that game and have at least 2 releases of it before the PlayStation 6 comes out, make this new first-person shooter game a day 1 release, bundled package with the PlayStation 6, I promise it will work. And Sony, hopefully you're watching this. If you're watching this video and you have contacts with somebody at Sony, send them this video and say, listen to this Anton guy from this Little Gears and Tech channel, because it seems like he knows what's up. And Sony, if you're watching this and you want someone to consult on this project, I am available and I would love to relocate and to, help you guys out so that you can succeed. As you can see, I do like my Sony PlayStation products, and I'd love to help you guys out more than just making a video telling you publicly how you can win. I'll tell you in secret some of the things that I haven't shared in this video about how you could also win with this whole merger debacle. Now that's mostly it. I'm not too worried about what the results are of this whole merger. Again, this was just for fun, just to tell you one fan's idea on how this could work out to be okay. It's not the end of the world. Don't take me as this is the way it is. One thing that I will leave you with is there is a rumor, a very strong rumor that's getting stronger, that Guerrilla is actually working on a first-person shooter game, and they've been secretly scooping up talent from the first-person shooter space from different studios to help build this studio to release a Sony exclusive first-person shooter game. We thought that it would be announced by now. However, I think they don't want to announce it right now, because if they do, their court case is weaker. Right now, their court case is Call of Duty is everything, and the industry will be destroyed if you allow Call of Duty to be owned by the same company who's making hardware. That would be the end of the world for everybody. But if Sony went and said, oh, and by the way, we've got our own first-person shooter that we're developing on, and it's going to be way better than Call of Duty, then Microsoft would just be like, yeah, see, they've got theirs, we need ours. Now we need to be protected. The narrative would flip. So they're going to keep the lid on this project for a very long time. They're going to keep it under wraps until they're successful in at least a number of countries to block this merger, and then they'll go out and throw it, and then Microsoft will have to, scramble and regroup and try to buy Activision again. It does get kind of messy, but it just gives them more time to make this game better. And if they can release it with no bugs and actively block cheating on the system to keep play very, very fair, then they have the opportunity to make a really good game. They have the resources to it and they have the money. So again, just not worried. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video and we'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.